Welcome to the Museum of Aquarium and Pet History. It is October 2023, and I just want to give you a brief overview of what we have available for you this month. The first thing is we have a new writer from England, and he has written about his great-grandfather who basically caught cage birds and sold them at some of the markets in England and stuff back 100 years ago, which is really a fascinating article. And he also talks about bird cage keeping in the UK post-industrial revolution. So great new writer, great article. Again, it's his great-grandfather, and he's been a bird keeper himself for his whole life, and he's probably in his 60s or 70s, probably close to my age. The second article we have is a bird seed company called F.M. Brown, and that is a family-run company that's on its 5th generation, which is unheard of. It's for a company to be 5 generations in the same business and not have sold out and become publicly traded is just, you just don't hear that. It doesn't happen anymore. So I'm really excited about the history of their company. That's a very interesting article as well. Then we also have the Innes photo tank, which was owned by the legendary aquarist William T. Innes. And this is a brand new item that the museum just procured. It's easily 100 years old now. And this was the actual tank that Innes used to photograph the fish that are in all his books, all the editions and all the titles that he did, like exotic tropical fish and that kind of thing. So that's a really interesting thing that we got, and I'm amazed to have it. I'm honored to have this, and that is at the museum right now. So you'll hear more about this at a later date. Then also we're going to do a photo gallery in the new edition, and that is of the most beautiful bird cage in the world, which is this one right here. The Hewitt Museum back in, it's part of the Smithsonian, back in Washington, D.C. They actually have a birdcage collection, and this was in the collection. We know that they wouldn't give it to us, so we actually made one. So we took our 3 most talented local conservators, one in metal, one in glass, one in wood, and all 3 of them put together this from a picture from the Hewitt Museum back in Washington, D.C. And then on the video this month, we have Steve Lundblad of Dolphin International, who basically invented transshipping tropical fish in 1970. I learned things I did not know about transshipping. So be sure to watch that, be sure to check out the articles, and thank you for coming. We'll see you again. Welcome back. We are at the Mermaid Lounge at the Super Zoo in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have our next interview person, and this is going to be Steve Lundblad. And he is from Dolphin International, which is the largest transshipper of tropical fish. And what's really cool is, Steve, you are like the first person and your partner, who's unfortunately no longer with us, to transship tropical fish.
Yes.
When was that? What year? 1970. 1970?
Yeah, we realized that it was a transportation issue, and LA was a perfect place to do it, right?
Yeah.
So we just figured we just figured to consolidate fish from all of Asia and make it available to wholesalers. And that time the wholesale business was growing. It's kind of like ZoomEd. You guys were we were at the right time for that to grow. We realized it was an airline business, and we had to have airline deals. So we grew out of having airline space, airline deals. That was long before Fish and Wildlife. That was the time you could import anything alive. We grew the business, and we had hundreds of wholesalers. We grew with hundreds of wholesalers, and the airline services were pretty excellent then. You know, FedEx and UPS didn't even exist then. Do you remember that?
Well, it's so funny. Marshall Myers called me the other day from PJAC, now the Pet Advocacy Council, I think it is. Anyways, he was telling me that he comes from family royalty of flying tigers.
Right, he came out of flying tigers.
Right, yeah. And so I guess one of his relatives or dad or somebody was one of the main flying tigers.
It was General Chenault. There was a guy named Chenault that started flying tigers.
And flying tigers turned into FedEx.
Right.
So you shipped on flying tigers when you were around.
Right, they were the freighter airline from Asia.
Exactly.
Well, they were big during the Vietnam War. You know, they were flying military guys over and freight back.
That's awesome. Now, explain transshipping to me. The way I understand it is somebody places an order, like a wholesaler, and they place it with you, and you bring the fish in, quarter bag, half bag, full bag, whatever it is, and you take them and you do a water change, and you reship it out within hours.
Within 12 hours.
Within 12 hours. So literally, they get a good price because the fish is going
seamlessly.
And we don't have to. We work on a very low margin. We're kind of like a Costco of tropical fish.
Right.
I mean, we don't bring in fish that aren't sold, so we're low margin people, but we're high volume.
Right.
One time a guy asked me, my daughter's a technical person and she does technical. I don't know what does your daughter do? I said, I don't know how to explain that, but I buy a fish for 5 cents, I sell it for 6 cents, and I make a penny. Right. And I sell a lot of them. And that's kind of what we've done, but it's more complicated than that. Our biggest investment is IT. We've got millions of dollars invested in IT, so we got a lot of data. So we can sell data. We sell data of how the perishable business. We got 50 years of it. We were in mini computers before Microsoft or Dell existed. You know, at that time it was IBM stuff we had to use. So we were the first in that, and I think that helped us a lot, computerization. And we've been spending, that's our biggest investment. And we're proud of that IT. We're proud of how we keep information on what happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And one thing I feel a little bit is, you know, Florida was the biggest one in fish. Right. And then when they started, in the beginning, everybody thought all the fish came from Florida. People didn't even know fish came from Asia, and we started it. And when we started Asian fish, we realized, well, Gary, you've been to Asia a lot. They're good at creating new colors and new. Sure. It didn't happen in Florida. They were just more bulk breeders, right? Right. And the Asians were really good at creating new kinds of fish, and we rode that wave. And I think what made us strong is we were kind of like you. We were honest. We paid people. In the old days, the fish business was reeked with bad debt. Do you remember that?
Yes.
People saw I shipped to so and so. He never paid me.
Right.
We started a new trend. We paid.
They liked you.
Yeah, they liked us, and we've grown with them, and we're very thankful for Asia. It's different now because when we first started dealing with Asia, even Hong Kong was a poor country. Singapore was a poor country. They're rich countries now. So most of the fish business moved to poorer places because they need ponds.
Indonesia, Malaysia.
You know, what worries me is that the farm mentality in the new generation, I hope it stays. A lot of these the younger people, they want to be dentists and doctors and lawyers, and
they don't want to be fish farmers.
No,
it's too hard.
It's too hard, sitting in the hot sun all day. But they'll go on, and I think my feeling about the fish business is that it was here long before you and I were here,
right?
And it'll be long after.
Well, it may not be the third generation kids, but it's going to be maybe a farm worker that's always been poor, worked on the farm, but yet he's going to be elevated to somebody who could maybe take over the business because the kid doesn't want it. The son doesn't want it, or the grandson doesn't.
They want to sit on the computer.
They what?
They want to sit on the computer.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a shame because, you know, they say everything is cyclical and it goes in a circle. And with this world being so spun out of control recently, it's nice to have a fish tank. I remember a psychologist telling me at the pet shop I worked at, he goes, you know, I deal with people that have problems all day long. I come home, I look into my fish tank, and it completely erases my mind.
Relaxing.
Of all thought. Yes, I totally go into the zone, and I'm just relaxed, and I just absolutely love it. And that's what fish is all about. If people would realize that, you don't need a psychologist, you need a fish tank. It's such therapy. It's so wonderful.
Well, I think parents are starting to realize that this product right here is dangerous to kids. I use this for business. They're saying that they're on this 8 or 9 hours a day. I was reading some of the stats, and I'm thinking, what are they doing 8 or 9 hours a day? And, you know, keeping a natural product. You know, I remember when I was a kid, my dad said, well, you're not very good at school. Why don't you try selling? And he taught me to mow so many lawns to get an aquarium.
Right.
I don't think this teaches. And, you know, I'm confused by this now. I look at it, I'm a user heavy, and I'm looking at it, there's so much. I just hope parents say that this is a better hobby than being addicted to this. Of course, I sell fish, so maybe that's self-serving, but I just,
Well, it should be a tool. It shouldn't be an end.
It's addictive.
Yeah,
I don't think fish are addictive.
Well, my phone tells me now, it says, you know, your user time on your phone was up 1.6 hours last week. I'm like, ooh.
Or you've been walking. Does your watch say, oh, you're out walking?
Yeah,
You've been walking.
My phone tells me how many steps, of course, but it's now telling me how much user time, like how much time I'm on the phone, which it'd be kind of cool if you had an aquarium and it told you, hey, you've been looking at your aquarium for 6 hours this week. Good job, you know?
Yeah, they won't. We're not big enough for that, I guess.
I have a question for you. So you remember Salton Sea?
Yeah.
The big saltwater wholesaler? They had a little room off to the side. And I remember it was like a secret room, and you'd go in there, and they had cardinal tetras. They had like 7 or 8 kinds of fish, but they were perfect. I mean, they were all large size, and in perfect condition, and they were all meant to go to Japan.
Japan is a market that we were in heavy, but it's a fashionable market. Fish went down and beetles went up. I don't know if they were buying beetles like crazy. And when they said we're buying beetles, I thought, oh, is it musicians? And then I went to Japan and I found out it's beetles, but it's more of a trendy market. America, I think we have a steady aquarium market. It goes up and it goes down. But Japan, it's not a big market. I mean, who's got the market? Hikari Kamihara. I was pretty good friends with Mr. Kamihara. He passed away. But he created a lot of that market there. And it was a koi-based market. And you know what I liked about the Japan market? Is I'm a rare fish guy. I'm not a platy and sword guy. I sell a lot of those. But they bought a lot of rare fish, and that's what I did. You remember all that? So they were buying. Whenever I have an albino lungfish, that would go to Japan. Because nobody realized the value of those things. You did, Gary. You're a fish guy, but there wasn't a lot of that here.
Right.
You know, I mean, remember when a red-tailed cat was $100?
Yeah, now you get babies.
Yeah, well, they're all tank raised in Thailand. I remember when you were with Lek and Russos. See, we didn't know each other well, but we started at the same time.
Yeah.
You're a little younger than me. We started about the same time.
Yeah, when I went to work for Lek selling tropical fish at Underwater World, you know, I walked into that job and he handed me $300. I said, "What's this for?" And he goes, "I just want to give you $300 to congratulate you on starting here."
Lek was good at that kind of stuff.
He was very good at making his employees feel welcome. But it was the hardest job I ever had. I worked 4 days without hardly any sleep.
Yeah, that's fish.
It's fish. It was hard. I would sell fish during the day and go to Los Angeles and pack fish at night. And one night I was so tired, I was doing glow lights or neons, and you know, you never counted them. You eyed them. Oh, that's 50. Oh, that's 100. You just eye them, really. You got good at it. And I hit the bucket at the top of the ladder, and the bucket went down. They're bounced on the floor, and I'm like, I got to get out of this job. It's killing me. I'm so tired.
Bad hours. It's bad hours.
Yeah, it's bad hours. That's why I started selling reptiles.
Well, you were smart. I remember I talked to you years ago when you first started reptiles, and you asked me, "What do you think?" I don't know if you remember this. I think. Remember I was talking to you about Japan. I said, maybe reptiles getting ready to have a surge, and you were the pioneer in that.
Yeah.
You were the pioneer in reptiles, just like we were the pioneer in Asian fish. So but you've developed a lot of other things. You know, and I always tell you, I send you emails. When I travel a lot, I'm proud when I see the zoo. I'm sure if you went to the jungle now, they used to talk, only thing in the jungle is a can of Tetra. Now they're going to say, in the jungle's a ZooMed product. Do you know what I mean? That's how you've grown. It's you and Tetra, Hikari. You're everywhere. I don't think a lot of companies are everywhere.
I gave some ZooMed shirts to Heiko Blair, and he went into somewhere, I think in South America, and gave them to the kids. And someone went down there, I forget who it was, and they took pictures of the kids wearing ZooMed t-shirts in the jungle, and I thought, oh, I was so happy. I was like, wow, that's awesome, you know?
Yeah, but when I'm overseas and I send you a picture of your products, I did that because you're a friend here, and when I see your success, you earned it. Yeah. You guys got a lot of ideas, and I think we worked hard for what we did. You know what I want to go with in this industry is that we paid everybody and we were honest. That's the big thing to me, because the industry of perishable people has been a lot of dishonest people. I don't know about dry goods, but there's been a lot of people who didn't get paid. You remember that?
True. There's true. You know, you have good and bad in everything, and we can't.
It seemed like livestock had a lot.
They did, probably because they didn't know how to take care of it, and they lost it. They want somebody to blame, so they'd say, "Oh, it was a bad batch," or they would just, even if they wasn't a bad batch, and they wanted to save money. Oh, you know, we lost X amount. You know, now they have strict rules. You know, if they come in, there's DOA. You photograph it, you freeze it, you keep them in the freezer till we tell you where they need to go.
Where do you think the business of fish is going to go, Gary? I mean, you think mom and pop stores will come back, or it'll be all chains?
I think that the only way to save fish is through social media. If we don't get, like, for instance, the aquarium societies, you know, they're all aging out. And you're right, kids are on their cell phones, and kids don't go to meetings as much. You know, there are some younger kids in these aquarium societies or whatnot, but it is aging out, and so is the bird organizations. I read about the canary organizations in England are 100 years old. They're old, but those people are 100 years old, and they're all worried. They go, it's aging out. We can't get young kids in it. I said, but you're not talking to kids where they want to be talked to.
They're not reading books. They're not going to the library.
I said, you've got to be social media. That's where they want to. That's where they want to know about it. You know, and if you get good at doing social media, and then you say, look, we're having a meeting, you know, every other month or whatever. It doesn't have to be every month. It could be every other month. We're having a meeting here. We're going to get together. We're going to have, have some food, whatnot, or we're going to have, bring a dish. We're going to have a potluck, and we're going to talk about all these things, and have a get-together. I think it would be really successful.
When we were kids, there was the LA Aquarium Society, there was the Long Beach Aquarium Society, Harvard. There's not anymore.
They're everything.
Yeah, but you still have reptile societies, right? And marine fish societies.
But there's still aquarium societies. You've got the Orange County turned into the Coast Club. San Diego's still there. San Francisco's still there. Sacramento's still there. Sacramento's very successful. It's always been a family area. And I tell people it's because they meet on Sunday. If you meet on Sunday after church, 12 o'clock, you'll get families to come out
after
and you
church.
Get those kids involved in it. Yeah. I said, if you have an aquarium study, meet on the weekend.
After
and if
church.
It's going to be Sunday, make it after church.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the crowd. Well, that would be us. We're at church on Sunday morning, and we'd go there after, and then we'd fish.
Exactly.
You know what I like about you, Gary? You've been so successful, but you got a lot of humility, and I really respect that.
Yeah, well, I've tried to be lucky, and I've been lucky, and I've been humble. And
I don't want to use the word lucky. I think you had a lot of. You were right time, right, but you had to develop it, Gary. You had to build it. You saw it as the right time, but you built it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I always, when I'm around the world, I travel.
We're not interviewing me. We're interviewing you.
Yeah, but I just think a lot of you. I just want to say I think a lot of you. Huh?
Thank you for that, though.
There's not a lot of people I would say that about. A few,
I know.
But
and I really appreciate it. And you have an amazing business that's done really well. And I know that you're kind of in a spot where you want to sort of go on to the next thing. But the thing is, what is the next thing for you? If you sold your company tomorrow?
Well, we would still be consultants for the company. We would consult, but
So
oh sure, I'd never leave anybody cold turkey if they're interested in our business. And all the people that know everything have retired. I've had a lot of my best people have retired. You know, they just got tired. You know, and I still have a few good people, but they don't want to do this big. They don't want to. It's management. You know, you got to have management. Our business is well run, but our strength is IT.
But couldn't you do your business from any port of the 5 ports in the USA? Could you do it from, or would it have to be just the West Coast ports?
It's the best, Gary. It's got all the flights.
LAX?
It's got, right. So you got all the flights out. I mean, if you're not here, you're LAX. I don't think that'll ever change. Okay, because you know. But I think among we've got competitors, but we're the ones I feel we do it the best, and we still take reasonable. We have fish people that look at fish when they get transshipped. The other people don't have fish people. We still have some fish people, and they look at and they decide this can't go and this can't go, even though they're only there 12 hours.
Right.
We get rid of it, and we get after suppliers when they said substandard fish.
Right.
So we're still fish people, but we're heavy in IT. We're heavy in information, and information helps us make decisions.
Exactly. What sells, what doesn't sell, what customers pay, what customers don't pay, all the different things that you get out of IT, right?
At one time, you know who was the biggest fish seller was Walmart.
Right.
Not that but they had thousands and that was what made bettas big.
5,000 stores.
Yeah, well, but we were wondering, how do we sell it? It was all Walmart, all these bettas, because that was a cash and carry fish that Walmart liked. The aquariums they didn't like. Now Petco and PetSmart are strong. They're fantastic companies, and they're a lot of our, you know, we only sell to PetSmart and the very large volume to them, and they're very good to us. Right.
You know, it's funny because you said something to me, and I've been thinking about it. You know, like fish. How do you get people back into fish? That kind of thing. And what I've seen is, you know, people are still into bettas, because who would think? You know, we used to have one betta that came in different colors with big fins. Now we got all these different bettas types. We got wild type bettas. We've got
all different fancies. Mustard bettas, round tail bettas, fringe tail bettas.
All these different kinds of bettas, you know. And then you've got the nano tanks, and then you've got the planet tanks, you know, and you've got the shrimp hobbyists, you know. So you've got these little niche things that are getting a younger generation into fish.
How do you think to make the shrimp thing work? It's different than fish. The shrimp thing's different than fish.
Yeah.
Just like the betta thing's different than fish. You need a private bowl for the betta.
Yeah.
You need a special tank for the shrimp because the fish will eat them or a filter will suck them up. So, what I mean, it's not like the platies, mollies, and swords and cichlids. No. Well, how do you think the shrimp thing will work?
I see it growing. I mean, look at Europe. In Europe, it's huge.
Yeah, and Asia too.
Yeah, both Asia and Europe. Well, fish has always been big in Asia, you know, because it also has.
It's historic. It's historic.
Yeah, historic, and it means good luck and all kinds of
feng shui.
Be good business, all that stuff.
I spent a lot of my life in Asia, so I understand the Asian culture pretty well, and they had a lot of energy to produce fish, and then we were on top of that, just like you knew reptiles were, right? And you get most of your stuff from Asia too. I mean, I was thinking if we ever had a war with China, what would happen to Walmart?
Oh, exactly. I think Walmart thinks about that. You know, during the container shortage, Walmart had their own container ships. They started putting in their own containers.
What did you do during? I don't mean that you paid a lot for freight in that time, didn't you?
We lost our profit.
Yeah, of course. Same with us.
We had a great business.
Air freight went up 300%.
Oh, during COVID, it was amazing. We made no money. The freight was so expensive, it took away all the profit. So they gave it to you on one hand, they took away on the other. And then they paid people to stay at home, which just screwed up the retail.
Well, it made people lazy to some degree. That COVID thing made the workforce a little bit hard to deal with.
The stores had a really hard time getting people back to work. I remember going to my dog groomer and she had nobody left. She used to have like 10 employees. Now she had just her and the owner. And I'm like, where is everybody? They don't want to come back to work. Like,
still, it seems like still there's a shortage of labor.
Still there's a big shortage.
Work ethic changed a lot after COVID.
Yeah.
General work ethic. People wanted to work from home. And not all jobs can be done from home.
No, they can't. Actually, no jobs can be done from home, truthfully. I don't believe that people can work from home ethically.
Yeah.
And I'll say that, sure, you could work from home, but not ethically. You just can't. Because, you know, they're going to go and they're going to have a longer lunch, a longer this, they're going to prep for dinner, they're going to get on the phone, talk to their friends, whatever it is.
Productivity has to drop.
And they're going to justify it. They'll justify the whole thing, you know, well,
because safer.
I could do my work in half the time. No, you can't. Come to work and let's see if you could do it in half the time. You can't. That's a lie.
Well, Elon Musk is pushing that. He's not letting people work from home anymore.
Good.
I mean, he's a pretty outspoken guy. He's not afraid of anybody.
Everybody does. Yeah. I worked. You worked. We worked longer than anybody. When you're in the livestock business,
it was 100-hour weeks for me in the old days of my life.
If you're milking cows, if you're doing any kind of livestock, 100-hour weeks is a normal.
Well, it's like a hospital. You got to be on call all the time. Things are late. Things aren't late. Plane don't come in on time. You got to deal with that. Fish and Wildlife didn't show up to clear the shipment on time. You got to deal with that.
That's true.
No, and that's why I think the perishable business is kind of underrated in some ways because it's hard.
I know.
You know, and I'm not saying that dry good business isn't hard. You got to develop products. You've got great marketing. You got to have technical people to develop your packaging.
You have to have everything.
Now we're more transportation oriented. Because transportation is the major part of perishables now.
Right.
And I don't think that'll ever change, Gary. They're always going to get the major supply of fish or water. You got to ship them water. No,
I'm surprised that you haven't sold to Central or one of the big companies.
We're a supply chain issue for them. They should be interested in supply chain. You know how they trying to do OEM? To do OEM fish, they need us.
Right.
Because then PetSmart's name or Petco, whatever, would be in Asia. I think COVID shocked people on how things move. I think now people are supply chain aware more, wouldn't you say? Before, they didn't know what supply chain was.
Exactly.
You're part of supply. If supply chain chokes, they won't have any products.
Yeah. So did you ever think you could make a living doing this whole transship thing?
Well, my dad said, "You're not very good in school, so why don't you try selling fish?" I respect
Your dad was a smart man.
Yeah, he worked in downtown LA, and I probably grew up like you, Gary. I had a good, but we didn't have much money. We grew up in Torrance, and Dad worked, and my mom stayed at home. Yeah, and I'm glad I had that upbringing. There was a work ethic upbringing, and we used to mow lawns, deliver papers.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
One brother, he passed away. I had a very good Dolphin. A lot of people's retired, and my brother passed away. And we still got good people at Dolphin, but everybody's kind of getting older now. And it's kind of like you got a new hobbyist in the business. You got a new crew, but you can guide the new crew.
Right.
But what we got going for us, Gary, is wisdom.
Right.
They got new ideas.
Yeah.
And I never play down new ideas. I like new ideas. But if a new idea is crazy, I'll bring up wisdom and say, yeah, we did it a long time ago, it didn't work. But if they tell me it's changed now, it might, I listen to that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But
sure.
The only thing we got going for us, we've been in this a long time, is wisdom, right?
Right.
We know what we tried and what did, but it doesn't mean it could have been wrong time.
That's a good ending point right there. I like that. All right, so we could go on forever. We could talk all night.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is the person who really created transshipping, and him and his partner did it back in 1970, and he's still doing it today. What is that? 52 years later. So kudos to Steve Lundblad, and I appreciate him being here. And thank you, Steve.
Well, I appreciate you. You got a great company.
Thank you.